down 4 points at 75.49. The pound buys $1.25 and €1.11. LBC weather. Rain across Scotland and northern parts of England and Wales this evening and overnight. Dry elsewhere, a low of 13 degrees. Tomorrow, sunny once those showers clear, a high of 21 degrees. From Global's newsroom, for LBC, I'm Philip Chrysikos.
This is LBC. From Global, leading Britain's conversation, the Nigel Farage Show.
Mr. Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Donald, and good evening, everybody. Well, a day of fury today following the Mail on Sunday leaks yesterday. I'm talking, of course, about Sir Kim Darroch, our ambassador over in Washington for the last 3 years, somebody who'd never been close to President Trump or the administration. And, of course, these leaks showing him talking about the administration as being inept, incompetent, incapable of reform and change, even speculating that maybe Trump's links with dodgy Russians in the end could bring his downfall and disgrace. And what we've seen today is the establishment closing ranks. I would say the Remain establishment closing ranks. Theresa May putting out a statement saying she's got full confidence in our ambassador. Indeed, things going further now, a cabinet inquiry into how the leak happened, and Tom Tugendhat, chairman of the Commons Foreign Affairs Committee, has told MPs that he's written to the Metropolitan Police asking for a criminal investigation to be launched into the leak. And Sir Alan Duncan, Foreign Office Minister, was speaking on this in the House of Commons earlier on today.
These toxic and unjustified attacks on the President of the United States and his administration are regarded by many people as completely unjustified. As Chairman of the European Scrutiny Committee, I was more than well aware of Sir Kim's own prejudices in relation to the EU. Yeah, surely it is not his so-called frankness which should be the issue, but his lack of judgment which disqualifies him from his post.
I regret to have to say that I consider my honourable friend's intervention deeply unworthy. He is a diplomat of calibre and of integrity. Nothing in his reporting from the embassy could ever be construed as an attack on the President of the United States. All of it was reporting of the highest quality which we expect of our diplomats and our diplomatic network.
So there's the battle. You've got Sybil Cash backing up exactly what I said yesterday on my Sunday show on LBC, that Sir Kim Darroch, when I knew him in his time in Brussels, an open supporter of the European project, a globalist, somebody known in Washington, of course, to be friendly with the Clintons, somebody who I don't think was ever suitable for holding that job during the time of a Trump presidency. But Sir Alan Duncan, Foreign Office Minister, responding vigorously. So the establishment are closing ranks. Inquiries are being launched, but there are many, like Bill Cash, myself, basically thinking that the time has come, even actually George Galloway from the left of politics, thinking that actually he should now be fired. I'm asking you, should the UK's ambassador to Washington be fired? Now, if you agree with the Prime Minister that actually you've got full confidence in him, then call me on 0345 6060 973. Or if, like me, you think his position is now totally untenable, text to 84850. And if he is to be replaced, who would you like to see him replaced by? Please tweet using the hashtag Farage and LBC, at LBC, and of course, Facebook, Periscope, YouTubers. You can watch us and you can comment too. Some speculation as to what my role in this may be, because, of course, Trump himself 2.5 years ago tweeted, many think that Nigel Farage would make a good UK ambassador in Washington. And I was asked this question straight on the Today programme this morning, to which I responded, I am not a diplomat. I think that's something of an understatement. And I think everybody, whether you agree with me on politics or not, would agree that diplomacy, not necessarily a word that you would associate with me. But is it perhaps time to recognise that since 2016, since the world changed, nothing in our civil service, nothing in the Foreign Office has changed whatsoever? And maybe it would be good to get somebody from outside the career civil service maybe a retired business figure, to be our ambassador in Washington and to try and help us build closer links. I certainly believe that. Let's go to Charles in Peterborough and ask him what he thinks. Good evening, Charles.
Good evening, Nigel. Good to talk to you. Haven't talked to you since last summer, actually.
Well, welcome back, Charles.
Oh, thank you. Of course, Her Majesty's civil servants and ambassadors, indeed, should tell it like it is. They should tell the truth. If they don't tell the truth, then what do you get? You get subterfuge. So also, I'd like to say, if Her Majesty's Conservative government are so incapable of taking on board the information they're given by the civil service, then they're twice as stupid as we think.
Charles, I mean, yes, of course, we want ambassadors to say as they see things. And, you know, we spoke yesterday to Lord Green, who'd been the British ambassador in a couple of Middle Eastern countries, and he said, look, you know, the government needs to know honestly what's going on in another country. I get that. But, Charles, let me put this to you.
You're forgetting quite a lot.
Go on.
Well, of course, if you don't tell it like it is, you could be known as I say, somebody who is undermining the very wishes of Her Majesty's civil service.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. However, what Sir Kim Darroch was doing was actually relaying gossip that was being picked up on the cocktail party circuit by members of his team. I mean, all the evidence is...
call it gossip. The British upper echelons wish to know the real thing.
Well, the real thing was not to say that maybe Trump's involvement with dodgy Russians could lead to his downfall and disgrace. That was pure gossip, speculation, based on nothing more than what was picked up on the cocktail party circuit. And frankly, Charles, I put it to you, that in a sense, that was what Kim Darroch wanted to happen.
Well, I worked in the civil service. I was surrounded by filing cabinets, all with, I won't tell you what particular area, filing cabinets full of EU agreements, operations, rules, bilateral agreements, and no wonder your Brexit is falling down.
Right, I don't get the relevance of that, Charles. Therefore, I am going to...
Your listeners will.
Well, if they do, that's fantastic. I don't understand what you're saying, one little bit, but thank you for the call. Let's go to Adrian, who's calling from Bristol and is new to the show. Adrian, good evening.
Good evening, Nigel. How are you doing? This is all a bit of a storm in a teacup, in my view. If everybody's personal emails about people we work with and everything else would be disclosed, then do you know what? We'd all lose our jobs. It's you know,
there may be some truth in that.
Say again, sorry?
I said there may be some truth in that, Adrian.
Yeah.
However, this is, as I say, some of this was just wild speculation, and here's the truth of it. Here's why it's not a storm in a teacup. I don't think Kim Darroch had any access to the White House at all anyway. If you saw, there was some television footage of Trump during the state visit a few weeks ago, and he was with Charles and Camilla, and there were a lineup of people, and Trump went down the line and shook hands. One of them was Sir Kim Darroch. He didn't exchange a single word with him. That says there was no relationship. And I would put it to you, Adrian, that after these comments have been leaked, and nobody's approving of leaks, I'm not approving of leaks.
No.
But given what's been said, what are the chances now of our embassy in Washington forming any sort of relationship with this administration? Surely they're just about zero, Adrian, now.
Pretty nil, I'd say, Nigel. Pretty nil.
Right. So wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't it be better? And I'm saying he should be fired, but we can use a nicer word. Wouldn't it be better if the ambassador was recalled and sent back on the first flight tomorrow morning?
Well, I'd ask you this then, Nigel, okay? And I don't know the answer to this, but I can pretty much have a guess at it, I suppose. If the American ambassador to the UK, if he wrote something similar, I don't know, about the chaos that's engulfed the country the last couple of years, if he wrote something disparaging about that, and that was leaked, do you think that he would then be recalled back to the States, or do you think that we would sort of throw arms up in the air and call for that man to be sacked and everything else. Do you know what? I'm not so sure it would. Diplomacy is one thing when we have to, follow rules and etiquette and everything else, and I kind of understand that. I don't necessarily subscribe to it because I'm a bit like you. I was born in 1964 as well, so it's always good to tell the truth, I think. But nevertheless, I'm just not sure if the same thing would happen. And I think he's echoing a lot of what people think in the UK, in the United States for that matter. I mean, look at Tillerson. I'm a tour guide now. I was a policeman until a few months ago. I'm a tour guide now, and I had some American clients today, and they were talking about Tillerson and the unsolicited comments that he made. I won't use the exact terminology, of course, Nigel, because it's not 9 o'clock yet, but apparently there's loads of T-shirts going around in the States saying Tillerson is correct. So it's not just a British thing about Mr. Trump, is it?
No, I don't think, Adrian, I don't think that a British ambassador should be repeating baseless gossip with no evidence behind it whatsoever, particularly about any links of Trump and the Russians, which, of course, after an extensive Mueller investigation, were found out simply not to be true. OK, Adrian, you take the view it's a storm in a teacup. I don't. Let's go to Mike in Southend. Good evening, Mike.
Hello, Nigel. In a nutshell, I do think that the ambassador's position is, shall we say, it's very dicey. I think above all, if he wanted to say that, there would be more discreet and more private ways of communicating his views in ways that couldn't be intercepted by anybody that wanted to dob him into the mail.
I agree with you, Mike. I mean, there is a thing called a diplomatic bag, isn't there? There's a diplomatic bag that goes back and forth, and a document could be in hard copy, in writing, sent to those that know to see it. I think we all know, Mike, by now, that no email can ever be considered to be secret.
Yes. So yeah, we're good on that. Another thing I'd like to kind of take you up on, Nigel, is that when you introduced this item quite reasonably, what you did, and this bit disappointed me, you brought Brexit into it, and I seem to remember you said a bunch of Remainers. I don't think you should do that, Nigel. Our lives do not revolve around Brexit, and it doesn't do you credit. You should be Mike. That. Rise above it, Nigel, for goodness sake.
Kim Darroch is a globalist.
You'll stress yourself out.
Kim Darroch is a Remainer. Kim Darroch is anti-Trump. Kim Darroch was the wrong man to be there over the course of the last 3 years, and that's the view I take. And Mike, I mean, I'll give you the view of John in Wallington. He says the ambassador is an idiot. He's not our man in the States. He's Brussels' man in the States. That's how people feel about this guy.
I didn't know that. This is the first time I've ever come across him, Nigel. So I'm only commenting on this issue, and I can't argue with you about what he's done in the past.
Well, Mike, all I can tell you is Brexit is still the great divide, and we have a civil service who are totally and utterly opposed to it. Mike, thanks for your call. You're listening to The Nigel Farage Show here on LBC at 6:15, and time for the news headlines with Philip Chrysikos.
The government says a criminal investigation may start into the leaking of diplomatic memos criticising the US administration if such evidence is found. A man's been jailed for more than 6 years for beating his mother to death with a cabinet door at their home near Wolverhampton. Deutsche Bank has started sacking 18,000 of its staff worldwide, 8,000 of those in Birmingham, Bournemouth and London as it restructures. LBC weather. Rain across Scotland and northern parts of England and Wales this evening and overnight. Dry elsewhere, a low of 13 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Katrina Ridley. Problems on the M25 clockwise at junction 23 for South Mims to junction 26 for Waltham Abbey because of an accident. Also slow clockwise from junction 13 for Staines to junction 15 for the M4, and that's because of a breakdown. In Hammersmith, queuing on the A4 eastbound at Hammersmith Bridge Road because of a burst water main. In Barking, delays on the North Circular southbound at the Barking flyover because a car broke down earlier. And in Purley, Downscourt Road's partially blocked at Selfcroft Road following an accident. On the Underground, no service still on the Northern Line between Camden Town to East Finchley, and severe delays from High Barnet to Camden Town because of a person ill on the train.
The Battle for PM. Follow it live on LBC.
Choose the all-new Vauxhall Vivaro van and you get class-leading fuel economy from £199 per month with 6 years 0% APR. So you'll be quids in. All new Vauxhall Vivaro. carries British business. Conditional sale, minimum 20% deposit plus VAT at 20% on total price. Financed by Vauxhall Finance, subject to status. 18 plus, business users only. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Vauxhall, British brand since 1903. Search New Vivaro offers.
LBC.
We use the internet all the time. We can't help it. But isn't it annoying when it's, a bit slow? BT Superfast Fibre is so reliable it now comes with its own Stay Fast guarantee, which means we'll give you £20 back if your speed isn't everything you've been promised, morning, noon and night. For fast all the time, not just some of the time, search BT Broadband today, tonight or tomorrow. BT. Be there.
New customers, we guarantee the speed to your hub. £20 if you can't fix in 30 days. 4 claims a year, exclusions apply.
You can complain free to your lender or the Financial Ombudsman about missold PPI. Alternatively, if you haven't got the time or the inclination, then just get the claims guys to manage the claims process for you. With the August 29th deadline approaching, time's at a premium anyway. So if you can't find your paperwork or you're not even sure you have PPI, it's definitely time to make a decision and start your PPI claim before it's too late. Text ANSWER to 66777. Text ANSWER to 66777 now.
The Claims Guys.
Don't miss out on Vodafone's double data deal. That's double data on all pay monthly smartphones. Yes, all pay monthly smartphones. Now a huge 30 gig for the price of 15, starting at only £30 a month. Double the selfie sharing, double the playlist pumping, and double the maps mapping. To get double data, go online or in-store today. Hurry, offer ends 9th of July. The future's exciting. Ready? Vodafone. Terms and details at vodafone.co.uk/summer.
Renewing your tax credits is too important to forget, so here's an unforgettable reminder.
Don't forget to renew your tax credits. It's very, very, very important.
Renew your tax credits by the 31st of July, or your payments will stop. Go to gov.uk/manage your tax credits today.
Sharing credit card details on scraps of loose paper. Finding battered receipts in the wash. Stressing out your accountant. Expense management doesn't have to be stuck in the dark ages. Say hello to Soldo. Company cards that do your expenses for you. Give your team prepaid cards to simply spend, snap the receipt, and that's that. Spend smarter. See the light at soldo.com.
The Nigel Farage Show on LBC.
Well, an almighty row over the comments of Sir Kim Darroch, our ambassador, our man in Washington, the Prime Minister backing him, the Remain establishment backing him, people like Sir Bill Cash speaking strongly out against him. I think he should be recalled. I can't see now that he's ever going to have any decent relationship with the Trump administration whatsoever. Before we get back to that, breaking news. Trade union leaders this afternoon have met and have agreed that any deal or no deal that is negotiated should be put back to the people in a second referendum, the choice being the deal or no deal against Remain. And even Len McCluskey, who's been strongly opposed to this, even Len McCluskey is now going along with this. Basically, Corbyn now has no choice. These are his paymasters. These are the people that contribute 80% of the income of the Labour Party. So that's big news. And just a thought about America before we get back to Kim Darroch. Some new polling out today suggesting that Trump's approval rating is now the highest it's been at any point in his presidency. He now has a 51% approval rating for the way he's running the economy. He himself spoke out and said, we're not great fans of Kim Darroch, and said it pretty strongly. Expect over the next 48 hours Trump to say more about Kim Darroch and more about the relationship with the United Kingdom. He will say something. Should Darroch be recalled? Should he be fired? Let's ask Alan in Paddington that very question. Good evening, Alan.
Hi, Nigel. I know you and Donald are soulmates and, you got a special relationship, but I leave that aside. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump, how many times he went public and he talked about a lot of world leaders, a lot of high figures politicians. Lately, Sadiq Khan, he goes public on Twitter, and this guy, Nick, whatever the ambassador, all he did,
Kim Darroch,
with the foreign office, he emailed them and said, "This is my opinion." And I believe I'm quite surprised that you are you're not aware of these things. You're surprised that he mentioned all these things about Donald Trump. Everybody knows Donald Trump. He's a loser. Everybody
A
knows
loser? Oh, really? He's a loser, is he, Alan? So he's. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. How is he a loser?
By calling Nigel, I know you get offended by calling him loser. You know why? Because he's a friend of yours. Okay,
right.
But you are on a national radio, so you should put that aside. I'm talking to Nigel Farage as a presenter on LBC, not Nigel Farage, as Donald Trump's friend.
So the guy that's worth $7 billion and is the most powerful man in the world is a loser, according to Alan in Paddington.
Yes, he is a loser. You know why he's a loser? Because he's a thief. He's not a loser. We're not talking about that. Because you go back to his tax records. Why doesn't he disclose it? Because he's been dodging tax for the last God knows how long. He worth $7 billion. Well, he is, because he's a thief, and he's a
thief as well. Oh, right, okay. So, Alan, should we, because you don't like Donald Trump, should we cancel our NATO membership, stop sharing military intelligence, and forget about any prospect of a trade deal? Is that what you're suggesting?
No, that's not what I'm suggesting.
Oh,
Don't twist my word, Mr. Nigel, Mr. Farage. What I'm saying, Donald, he's there for possibly another 5 years at maximum. And he's going to go, and somebody else will come. And he is the next person who comes, and hopefully will clean up all this mess that Donald Trump made in the last
3.1% growth? Wages up. Well, I tell you what, you tell me a president in modern times who's got a better economic record. Alan, let me ask you this question, right? You don't like Trump, and that's fine. But we have, Trump's not a diplomat, he's a president. We have a diplomat in America. We have a vital relationship with America. It is impossible. It's actually been impossible for the last 3 years anyway, but it is now totally impossible, in the light of these comments, for the British Embassy to have a relationship with this administration. Does that not suggest to you we should choose a different ambassador?
Well, if you are Great Britain, as you're trying to get your Great Britain back by doing Brexit, so you should stand behind this ambassador and stay there and say, you know what, he's staying there. Okay?
Right.
But you are only claiming Great Britain when it's in your favour, when it's about Brexit, because you don't believe in Great Britain. If you believe in Great Britain, you should stand behind this ambassador. And
he is a disgrace.
He's a Remainer, that's why.
Yes, that's right.
You're very clever.
He's a Remainer. He's a Remainer.
You link everything to Brexit.
I'm very sorry to say that is the dividing line in life now. It is the defining issue of our age. Go on, give me some advice. Yeah, go on.
Okay, go and speak to a recruitment agency, because Brexit will be over in the next year or so. Okay, so find yourself something else to do.
I shall look forward to Alan. I shall look forward to it. I'll probably do a music hall, and I very much hope you buy tickets to come and see me. Thank you, Alan. Have a lovely, cheery, happy evening. Andy in Portsmouth says Kim Darroch needs to be sacked for sure. Not his fault the leak came out, but we now need to show Trump we as a country and our government do not agree with his attitude. Well, I would, love to see that happen, but I don't know. I really, really don't know. I feel the establishment of closed ranks, completely and utterly closed ranks. And is he going to be sacked? I can't see it. I wonder what Dan in St John's Wood thinks. Good evening, Dan.
Hey, good evening, Nigel, and congratulations on Alan in Paddington.
Well, I have to show some patience at times. But Dan, I get it. A lot of people can't stand Trump. And other callers tonight, I've had two already, don't see the link between the Brexit referendum and what's going on here, but I do, clear as a bell.
And I don't disagree. I think if you look a little bit closer in the substance of what the cable had said, what I don't understand is why he's making any reference in his job where he's meant to be an diplomat, why he's referencing Russia in the slightest. I mean, the Democrats moved on straight away to obstruction after no collusion was found. So it was never there in the first place. He should have dropped that a long time ago. In my mind, this is just a calculated smear. It was intentionally leaked somewhere along the line. If you look at what's going on now with Barr and Durham in the US and the origins of the Russia report, they're now looking into the UK intelligence corporation services with the CIA. And I believe that this will continue to run, this story, and you'll see more of this kind of stuff coming out soon.
I don't think, Dan, I don't agree with you that it was deliberately leaked. I think this has come as a huge shock to Darroch and indeed to the Foreign Office. And I think what's going on inside the civil service, there are people that work there who say, what has happened to our neutrality since 2016? We now appear to be a political campaigning organisation, and that, I think, is why stuff is being leaked. Dan, would you, if you were in charge, would you recall Sir Kim Darroch?
Absolutely. I mean, he never engaged with Trump when Trump was the nominee of the Republican Party. He didn't engage with him, as he was the front runner. He never engaged with him after he even won the vote and he was president-elect. This man was spending more time with Hillary than anyone else, and I think he should never have been the man in the first place. Why was
couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
Trump, or the Pence.
Dan, you and I are at one on that. Thank you for your call. The ambassador was telling the truth, I get by text. Most people would agree. Are you condemning a person for telling the truth, which in politics these days is rare? No, it isn't for telling the truth. It is, and we just had this from Dan in St John's Wood. He was on the money. It is speculating about Russia, saying it could lead to disgrace and downfall. And Darroch was almost saying it with glee, as if it's what he wanted to happen. He was never suitable to be the ambassador under Trump. He should be recalled immediately. I'm going to speak to Bio, a new caller from Manchester. Good evening.
Hi, Nigel.
Good evening.
And thanks for pronouncing my name correctly. Most people say Bayo, but you got it right, Bio.
Well, that makes a change.
Yes, Nigel, I'm sorry, I tend to disagree with what you're saying. I don't think the ambassador was being malicious. I think he was reporting, and he was reporting from his point of view. My father worked for the diplomatic service. I came across a lot of documents in his office, top secret. In those days, they were hard copies. Yeah, I saw a lot of stuff that I wasn't meant to, but I was just a nosy kid. I would read, and I know what was happening. I'd hear him and my mom having discussions about who said what at the office, who did what, and I know there's a lot going on. When I was a boy, we were in Prague, the Czech Republic, and we found bugs in the room, microphones, listening to conversation, they want to find out what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. We walked in one day to see a guy coming out of the room. He was challenged by my parents, and he just brought out a badge, KGB, and he flashed it and walked past. My mom was talking to my dad saying, well, should we not make this a diplomatic incident? My dad said, no, it's not worth the hassle. It happens all the time. So I was quite privy to a lot of what was happening in the background when it comes to diplomatic service. So the only thing that's happened here that is embarrassing or is a bleep, I suppose, is the fact that the general public now and the Americans now know what he said, what the ambassador said.
And Bio, it may be. Look. Okay, let's try a different approach. Let's say that what's happened to Kim Darroch is rotten. A caller earlier said if any of our emails or comments at work were about other people were published, we'd all lose our jobs. But we are where we are. Do you not agree with me? It's now impossible for him to work with this administration. We need a new ambassador.
I understand what you're saying, Nigel. I do. Honestly, I understand. But I don't agree because I think the Americans, they have to. Donald said something. Mr. Trump said something this morning. I heard him. He said the guy's not. He's got issues with the guy anyway. He did say that. However, the Americans, if he continued to work as our ambassador over there, they would still treat him with respect and business will as usual because they understand these things are said and done.
I don't think so. This is the Trump administration. These are different times. Listen, I'm going to have to let you go. Thanks for your fascinating story. There is no way it is ever going to be business as usual with Kim Darroch. The truth is, it never actually was. We've had the wrong man in Washington. You're listening to the Nigel Farage Show exclusively on LBC. It's now 6:31. Time for the news headlines with Philip Chrisikos.
In the last few moments, Labour-affiliated trade unions have agreed the party should campaign for another EU referendum and support Remain if the next Conservative Prime Minister negotiates a different Brexit deal. Union leaders have also unanimously agreed Labour should campaign for another public vote and support staying in the European Union if the UK is heading for a no-deal Brexit. The Foreign Office says police could be involved in the leaking of diplomatic memos if evidence of criminality is found. Minister Alan Duncan has told MPs the release of those documents, criticising Donald Trump's administration, is despicable. Deutsche Bank says it will keep a significant presence in London despite cutting 8,000 jobs there and in Birmingham and Bournemouth. In total, the German lender is losing 18,000 positions worldwide. LBC weather. Rain across Scotland and northern parts of England and Wales this evening and overnight. Dry elsewhere, a low of 13 degrees. Tomorrow, sunny once those showers clear, a high of 21 degrees.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast, LBC.
Your calls to Conservative Jacob Rees-Mogg. Had you been one of the MEPs and the ode to joy had been struck up, would you have turned your back on it?
I would never like to say that my sister is wrong.
But you wouldn't have done it.
I think I would have done a protest in a different form.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast, weekday mornings from 7.
With Xero. Get your business digital ready with Xero accounting software.
LBC.
There's nothing like meeting face-to-face. And there's nothing like Zoom to make that happen. Zoom lets you connect and do business across town or around the world. Zoom ties together all of your communication needs into one easy platform for video conferencing, phone calls, group chat, webinars, and your conference rooms. Connect easily from anywhere, your mobile phone, your laptop, or conference room. Zoom is how business gets done. Get your free account at zoom.com today. Meet happy with Zoom.
Goodwin Barrett helped William win £21,400 from the Halifax for his missold investment. If the Halifax or any other bank sold you an investment that lost money, start your quick assessment to discover how much you could be owed. Text GOOD to 60777. Text GOOD to 60777 now.
At first, we were worried about using purple bricks, but since we sold with them, I haven't been able to stop going on about them, have I, dear?
No, love.
I've been telling everyone, family, friends, that confused guy at the supermarket.
Yeah, you haven't really shut up about that.
But seriously, did I tell you about our purple bricks estate agent, Michael?
I met him too. He was nice.
We could talk to him whenever. Anything we asked, he could do it.
That's enough now,
He
dear.
was brilliant, always available to chat on the phone.
Enough,
I
Robert.
could email him any time of the day or night.
Purple bricks. There's no need for commissary.
Fixed fee payable on instruction or after 10 months. Viewing services cost extra. See website for more details.
It's a sunny day in Admouth, but Tom is stuck at his computer.
Oh, Tom, you should be outside having fun.
I agree, Admiral, but I need to sort out the home insurance.
It was your wife's car insurance last month. Let me help.
Thanks to Admiral, Tom can bundle his home and car insurance and get a lovely multi-cover discount.
Car and home insurance all in one place.
What could be easier?
Admiral Multi-Cover. Rewardingly simple.
Right now, you can choose tech worth up to £179 when you get BT Superfast Fibre. Play those summer tunes on a new Amazon Echo. Keep them to yourself with a pair of JBL 650 noise-cancelling headphones. Or get out and about with a Fitbit Charge 3. From $31.99 a month on an 18-month contract with a $29.99 setup fee. This offer ends the 11th of July. Search BT Broadband. BT. Be there.
New customers CPI increase each March starting 2020. 91% UK coverage, $44.49 for month 19 pay direct debit, terms apply.
London. We have a problem. Our air is toxic and driving polluting vehicles is the main cause. The air that I breathe, that my friends breathe, that my mum and dad breathe, and that you breathe can cause lifelong diseases. But there are solutions, like making our transport greener and creating better spaces to walk and cycle.
These are just some of the ways the Mayor of London and TfL are helping to improve air quality across the capital. Find out how you can make a difference too. Search Let London Breathe. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
The Nigel Farage Show on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Well, I think Sir Kim Darroch should be sacked, he should be recalled, he should be brought back on the next aeroplane, and somebody put over there in DC who can actually form a relationship with this administration. And it matters in terms of trade, it matters in terms of defence, and it certainly matters in terms of intelligence sharing. Before we get back to that, general election yesterday in Greece. Remember a few years ago that when Syriza, with Mr. Tsipras, won the election and they were going to take on, weren't they, the Brussels establishment, and actually what happened was Tsipras got to Brussels and Strasbourg, faced a couple of tough meetings, backed down, didn't do anything, and his party this time round got 31%, with 40% the leader of the Conservative Party, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, has been sworn in. He has a majority in the Greek Parliament. The Greek economy has fallen by over 25% since the economic downturn back in 2008. And whilst it is due to grow at about 2% this year, things are not great in Greece. I don't really think, actually, given the terms of the bailout fund, I don't think it really makes any difference now who's in charge of Greece, whether it's a centre-left government or a centre-right government. It's a country that has been completely ruined, some would say, by the Greeks' own stupidity. I would say by joining a currency they were never, ever suited to. And on the European front, be sure of one thing. Tomorrow's newspaper front pages will be Corbyn now forced to back a second referendum and forced to back Remain. I'm astonished that Len McCluskey, of all the trade union leaders, is now backing this second referendum position, this effectively Remain position. And I think this will do Labour enormous harm in the country. But back to our relationships with Donald Trump. Trump spoke out today. He said, we're not a great fan of Kim Darroch. Darroch never had an open line to him. His comments, some say they were truthful, but I would say, in reference to Russia in particular, he went way, way over the top. There's a leak at the heart, of Whitehall. These investigations could go on for months. Mark is calling from Twickenham. Good evening, Mark.
Hi, good evening, Nigel. Yeah, I just wanted to sort of disagree with you, but in a good way. I think that the problem here is a lot of the ambassador's reports were actually correct, but they've been misreported in the media. So his criticism of the Trump administration being divided and chaotic is true, and you've only got to look at what happened in Iran to see that people like Bolton at the State Department and the defence people actually want to start getting in a shooting war with Iran, and Trump is doing his best to stop that happening. So there are big divisions in the administration, but that's not because Trump's chaotic. That's because he's got a lot of people working for him that are holdovers or have different interests or are trying to do different things. And so I think it's a misrepresentation of. If you read the papers, they actually tell you very little of what Darroch said in his text, but they put a lot of spin on what he said. And
Of course, news is news, leaks are leaks, Mark. And look, Darroch is perfectly entitled to say how he thinks this administration is running. Of course he is. What he is not, Mark, and I'm going to return to this point, what it is not right for him to do is to speculate about whether the president might have met some dodgy Russians, been involved in business deals with them, that could lead to disgrace and downfall. I mean, you can pick that up in a bar in DC, but it's not based on fact or evidence, is it?
Well, I agree with you, but unfortunately, that he's sort of in that respect. I agree with you. He's acting as an echo chamber for what has been British policy, for government policy for a while, which is to try and stop Trump being president, and now to try and get rid of him. So that's the British. It's the British government that's got a problem with their policy towards Trump. I don't think Trump's got a problem himself personally. And as soon as we divest ourselves of this instinctive bash Trump all the time, as far as I can see, he's doing a great job economically, stopping the US getting into unnecessary wars. All the things that he said he'd do, build a wall.
He's doing stuff. No, Mark, he's kept many of the promises he's made. Absolutely. Mark, my feeling is this. 2016 was this great sort of watershed moment for the Western world. First the Brexit referendum, then the Trump election. That's led on to a brand new government in Italy and big changes. Isn't the truth of it that the old guard, the old establishment in Westminster and in Whitehall have responded to 2016 by trying to either ignore it or trying to overturn it? Don't we need a radical change of the personnel, not just in Parliament, but in our civil service and Foreign Office too?
Well, absolutely, because you're absolutely right. Worldwide, the politicians have been ignoring the electorate for tens of years, and it's in Italy, it's in Greece. We're seeing the results of that now with the Greek elections. You've got fantastic unemployment in Greece, 40+% of young people unemployed.
I know, terrible.
Why anyone would think that young people in this country, if they were informed of that, would support the EU? The Spanish unemployed, the Italian unemployed, that whole generations of young people's lives are being ruined, and we have to get rid of these politicians who, for some reason, they must be controlled in some way because they're doing precisely what the electorate doesn't want, and they keep doing it repeatedly.
I know. And as part of this change, Mark, that's needed, is it time to get rid and recall Kim Darroch?
Well, for his tittle-tattle about Moscow, I suppose he is coupled. But I'll go back to what I was saying about the general tenor of what he said.
I nearly won you round, Mark, didn't I? I nearly won you round. I didn't quite succeed.
And I'm not. I think he's made a small mistake, but the media have blown it up into a big mistake.
All right, okay. No, Mark, thank you for your comments. Thank you. Going to go to Ali, a new caller from Sloane Square. Good evening, Ali.
Good evening, Nigel. How are you?
I am well. So, the British ambassador, he's gone over the top. It's time he was recalled, Ali, isn't it?
Well, I think, I mean, there are a few points to just quickly observe there. I do think the fact that there was a leak from the civil service that is, very disappointing. That should not be the case, and that's the confidential level that we expect the civil service to maintain. A few things to take into consideration. Sir Darroch is a seasoned civil servant and a diplomat. He's been doing this for decades. If there's one person who knows what he's doing out of the many, he is one of those. He was a permsec in Brussels for a number of years.
Oh, I know he was, yeah.
I'm sure you're very familiar with that. And also at the same time, he was the Prime Minister's ears during what were the atrocities that were happening in Syria. So this is a man who is familiar with the international foray. The point coming back to Sir Darroch's one, the whole point of having an individual in another country as part of the civil service or as part of the wider government is to have ears on the ground. What's the point of having a person there if they're not honest about the interactions out there? What is the point of him giving just a generic answer to information that is classified information? It shouldn't have been coming out. It's something that...
Ali, I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with the leaks point. I understand all of that, but here's my point, Ali. We want somebody out there. We want somebody out there to be the government's eyes and ears, right? I get that. I agree with you. The point is that Sir Kim Darroch, because of his globalist background, because of his own political views, because of who he is, has not had access to this administration to be able to give back anything of any value to the British government. All he's doing is feeding back gossip that his staff pick up at cocktail parties. He's just the wrong man for this job, Ali.
I mean, I can understand where you're coming from, that, Nigel, in terms of the globalist approach, but it doesn't, I think, undermine what you were saying. I think one of the things that you were making a point about earlier is how this affects the administration going ahead. But then if that's the case, look at Boris Johnson. He said, quite clear things about his disapproval of Trump in the past. Does that mean that will affect the future relationship? Or do we just undermine and say, you know what, America will be one of our major global trading partners. We shouldn't even let Boris Johnson come to the election table.
I think the point is Boris Johnson's a politician who can say one thing and then do another, but somebody who is an international diplomat should not have behaved in this way. Boris appears to have been forgiven. Boris appears to have been forgiven by Trump.
Oh, I hope so for our own sake. But at the same time, on the Russia issue itself, one thing for clarity that we need to always adhere to, Nigel, I think which is very important, I think, is to bear in mind that U.S. law does not allow a sitting president to be prosecuted, hence why there has not been any attempts made by the Department of Justice to prosecute Trump or to impeach him. It is not allowed. But the report itself...
Ali, impeachment is allowed of a sitting president.
No, it isn't. It was discussed last night in LBC as well, thoroughly. The sitting U.S. president cannot be impeached. Based on,
yes, he can. Yes, he can. Ali, I'm sorry. He can't be prosecuted, but he can be impeached.
He can't be, and
if ultimately, if two-thirds...
on the prosecution.
Yeah, prosecution, I agree with you. Prosecution, I agree with you.
Hence why the Department of Justice is not taking further action based on the reports.
No. Ali, come on. Come on, for goodness sake. We've had a 2-year investigation, Mueller investigation. We've had the whole world screaming about collusion, and the report says there wasn't any collusion.
The Department of Justice said if he was a public citizen, further action would have been taken. However, he's a president, so no further action can be deemed.
I'm sorry. I'm going to say it one more time. No collusion. You're listening to the Nigel Farage Show here at LBC at 6:45 in time for the news headlines with Philip Chrysikos.
The heads of Labour-affiliated trade unions have agreed the party should back another EU referendum and campaign to remain. Police could investigate the leaking of diplomatic memos criticising Donald Trump. Theresa May says she has full faith in Sir Kim Darroch, but not in all his words. Deutsche Bank has begun sacking 8,000 of its staff in Birmingham, Bournemouth and London, saying it's doing everything it can to support them. LBC weather. Rain across Scotland and northern parts of England and Wales this evening and overnight. Dry elsewhere, a low of 13 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Katrina Ridley. Problems on the M25 clockwise at QE2 Bridge. All queues are currently being held because of a police investigation. Also slow clockwise from junction 13 for Staines to junction 15 for the M4, and that's because of a breakdown. In Hammersmith, queuing on the A4 eastbound at Hammersmith Bridge Road because of a burst water main. In Barking, delays on the North Circular southbound at the Barking flyover because of a breakdown. And in Purley, Downscourt Road's partially blocked at Selcroft Road following an accident. On the Underground, no service still on the Northern Line between Camden Town to East Finchley, and severe delays from High Barnet to Camden Town because of a person ill on the train.
Coming up at 7 on LBC, Ian Dale.
On our Monday night panel at 8, is conflict inevitable between China and Hong Kong? And at 9, how difficult is it to come out as LGB or T in 2019 Britain?
Ian Dale on LBC.
Sharing credit card details on scraps of loose paper. Finding battered receipts in the wash. Stressing out your accountant. Expense management doesn't have to be stuck in the dark ages. Say hello to Soldo. Company cards that do your expenses for you. Give your team prepaid cards to simply spend, snap the receipt, and that's that. Spend smarter. See the light at soldo.com. Managed to fill those jobs yet?
Oh, I'm struggling.
You know Mark in HR? He was telling me about Hiring Hub. It connects you to loads of vetted specialist recruitment agencies, so you can widen your candidate search quickly, without any hassle.
Really?
Yeah. You post a job, and recruitment agencies you select send you their best candidates.
Want to fill professional jobs faster? Search Hiring Hub and post your job today.
Mark's nice, isn't he?
Really?
Hi, I'm back. I just set a personal best on my park run. Feels great.
That's lovely, Mike. I think you've earned the right to put all the bins out.
Hey?
With Vitality Life Insurance, you get properly rewarded when you're active. In fact, you could save over £775 in discounts and rewards from our partners. Join over 1 million customers. Just search Vitality Life. Vitality. Positively different. Annual savings available with certain plans and are dependent on members' usage of rewards available. Terms and conditions apply.
Days and weeks can fly by, but if you're worried it's cancer, time can slow down and almost stop. That's why, with Bupa Health Insurance, you can call us about any symptom of cancer without seeing your GP first. Depending on your cover and your symptoms, we could even refer you to a consultant there and then. Bupa Health Insurance. For living. To find out more, search Bupa. Direct access services may not be available for some underwriting methods, and you may need to provide evidence the conditions are not pre-existing.
Are you a business owner who's ready to retire? Or maybe an entrepreneur ready to sell and move on to your next exciting project? At Barnes Roof, we actively work with successful entrepreneurs to help them through the sales process and maximize exit value. So, why not get some first-rate advice and speak to one of our experts? Your first meeting will be free, and you can make sure you really are getting the best deal. Contact us at barnesroof.com. Barnes Roof. Clever accountants for business.
You could order the spatchcocked duck and celeriac chips, or for less than a fancy meal for two, get a Dacia Sandero Access from Dacia Retail Group. Just £99 a month with £500 advance rental. See daciaretail.co.uk. Personal contract hire 48 months. Order by September the 30th. Conditions apply.
Don't miss out on Vodafone's double data deal. That's double data on all pay monthly smartphones. Yes, all pay monthly smartphones. Now a huge 30 gig for the price of 15, starting at only £30 a month. Double the selfie sharing, double the playlist pumping, and double the maps mapping. To get double data, go online or in-store today. Hurry, offer ends 9th of July. The future's exciting. Ready? Vodafone. Terms and details at vodafone.co.uk/summer.
This is LBC, the Nigel Farage Show. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC using the hashtag Farage on LBC.
Sky News reporting, union chiefs agree Labour should back a second EU referendum and remain. So they're basically saying that any deal that the Conservatives were to negotiate, they would be against, they'd call for a referendum, and they would back Remain. And this, for Len McCluskey, is the most extraordinary turnaround. And it means that any hope that Corbyn had of staving off a second referendum, of stopping the Labour Party becoming all-out Remain, have completely evaporated this afternoon. Keen to take any of your thoughts on that in the next few minutes. Meanwhile, let's get back to Sir Kim Darroch. Should he be recalled? I'm in no doubt he's been the wrong person for the last 3 years. I think he's behaved badly. I think actually his whole department now looks to be dysfunctional. I don't just want Brexit. I want major reform of our civil service, and in particular, the Foreign Office. Let's go to Barbara in Bognor Regis and see what she thinks. Good evening.
Oh, good evening, Nigel. I'm surprised he's not been recalled already, because I think it was deliberately leaked.
Right.
It's been a deliberate leak.
And why has it been deliberately leaked in your view?
Well, excuse me for being so cynical, but I don't trust this government at all, and I think it's a last-ditch attempt to spoil the relationship between the US and the UK.
Well, I think Kim Darroch's done his best on that score already.
Yes,
and yet, you see,
due to stand down quite soon.
I think he was due to go at the end of the year.
Yes, I think
anyway,
that possibly he's part of it.
Well, I don't know about that, Barbara, but I mean, Theresa May.
As I am now.
No, I mean Theresa. No, well, I'm trying to maintain hope. It's not always easy, but Theresa May's come out, Barbara, and said she's got full faith in Sir Kim Darroch. In fact, the Remain establishment are gathering around him today, saying what a wonderful chap he is.
Yes, but they won't all know about it.
Well, I don't know, but he should be recalled, shouldn't he? And do you think, as I think, Barbara, that maybe the time has come, in terms of picking ambassadors, not to take people from the Foreign Office, to actually, I mean, look at the American ambassador in London. Is Woody Johnson, big businessman, owner of sports clubs in America, not part of the American State Department. Isn't it time we went outside?
Absolutely, able to be impartial. But why did they choose Kim Darroch? I mean, they knew he wasn't, that he was very biased. Why was he chosen in the first place?
Because, he was our man in Brussels, and they're all Remainers. And the truth is, Barbara, he was in position before Trump got elected, known to be friendly with the Clintons and that whole circle. And I did say immediately after the Trump election, it's time to change our ambassador. But hey, no one ever listens to me. Barbara, I thank you. I'm going to run on and speak to Maciek, who's a caller from Enfield. Good evening to you.
Hello, hi, Sir Farage. I was first-time caller. Very
welcome
to call you, but occasionally I go out of my safety bubble, as we all do. He shouldn't be recalled.
Right.
That's plain and simple. We need civil servants that speak the truth and not what the power wants to hear. I mean, if we had someone like you, for example, for just an exercise of thought, but if we had someone like you, then you quoted Trump's approval ratings on economy as 51%, but it's not the entire truth, because his overall approval ratings are still below 50%. Correct?
Yes, but they're still very high, Maciek.
They are high. They are the highest. They ever been. But you.
Well, that's the only point. That's the only point I was making.
So more Americans disapprove of his presidency than approve of it, right?
No. There are some who have not made their minds up. But to win an American presidential election,
51 to 47.
Maciek, to win an American presidential election, you need about 45% of the vote. All right, he is comfortably over that line right now. But that's not the point. My point to you is this, right? What hope is there? What hope whatever was there? But what hope is there now of Sir Kim Darroch forming any sort of relationship with the Trump administration?
Okay, my point to you is, what kind of civil servants or what kind of ambassadors are you going to get if you punish Sir Kim Darroch now? We're going to get civil servants and ambassadors that will look at Downing Street, that will look at who's in Downing Street, and will make up mind about what they are going to inform or what information they are going to pass on, so that as not to upset the current political class.
Well, I hope, Maciek, that what they will do is not send things by email. They will use the diplomatic bag that goes back and forth between Washington and London several times a week, and they will send letters directly to those that need to see them. Wouldn't that be a much more grown-up way of doing this?
Well, not in this day and age, because we have secure emails, and I know that emails are not secure and are regularly leaked. But there are hundreds of thousands of emails going back and forth between Downing Street and various diplomatic outposts. You do agree to that, so it doesn't all go into the diplomatic bag now.
No, but I think maybe it should have done. Anyway, I don't know. Maciek, we'll agree to disagree. I'll take one more caller tonight before we're over, and I'm going to go to Barry, who's calling from Croydon. Hi, Barry.
Hello, good evening. No, he should not be punished for telling the truth. He's our man in Washington. He's served 30 years in the diplomatic service with distinction in various different jobs. And he should say there, your friends in Washington, you've got 2 of Trump's people already in jail, 3 more awaiting sentence. It's an absolutely chaotic administration. I hope they can impeach Mr. Trump at some point for the...
Do you? Why, Barry? Why?
Well, he's got a whole catalogue. I mean, we haven't got time to run through it all. He's an absolute embarrassment. So I was on holiday last year in New Zealand, met various Americans, and they are absolutely embarrassed that Mr. Trump is their president. They can't wait for the 2020 elections and hope to get someone more decent.
Barry, he's going to walk it next year.
Well, he might do, and it'll be another 4 years of embarrassment, and probably more of these colleagues ended up in court and proven guilty in jail.
But Barry, whether you like him or not, at a time of Brexit, isn't getting a trade deal with America vital?
Can I ask a question? Because I've been trying to find this out on YouTube.
Quickly.
So Kim was appointed by the Foreign Secretary in January 2016. Who was the British Foreign Secretary who appointed him? Wasn't Mr. Johnson, was it, by any chance?
Probably. But then, in those days, was it Boris? Was it Boris? No, it wasn't Boris. It wasn't. It wasn't Boris Johnson. It wasn't Boris Johnson. He wasn't imposed with it. Barry, we're out of time. You loathe Trump. I know that. Many do. But the relationship with America matters, and Sir Kim Darroch has done nothing to aid our future relationship. In fact, I rather think he'd like us just to go back to being full members of the European Union. That's what I think. I'm back tomorrow at 6. At 10 tonight, it's Tom Swarbrick. Up next, it's Ian Dale.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. You never know. Coming up over the next 3 hours at 8 o'clock, it's our Monday night panel. I'm going to be asking you, is conflict inevitable between China and Hong Kong? Should Britain offer sanctuary to anyone from Hong Kong who wishes to come to this country? Should we indeed have done that in 1997? At 9, a footballer who plays for a championship club is apparently about to come out as gay. I want to know how difficult it is to come out as lesbian, gay, bisexual or transgender in 2019. But first up, of course, as ever, it's the LBC News Hour.